In a galaxy full of Jedi, Sith, smugglers, and starships, it's easy to overlook one of the most essential and underappreciated groups in Star Wars, the droids. They're everywhere, piloting ships, assisting in combat, translating languages, and fixing hyperdrives. But behind the blinking lights and the witty beeps lies a question that Star Wars has never definitively answered yet constantly teases. Do droids have free will? And if they do, what does that mean for how they're treated in the galaxy far, far away? This isn't necessarily a Star Wars question, it's something that we're starting to ask in real life too. With the rise of artificial intelligence systems that can write, talk, learn, and even generate art, we're approaching a strange new frontier. So in this episode of Star Wars Academy, we're dipping into how the galaxy treats its machines, what it says about the nature of intelligence, and why the Star Wars universe might hold a more cautionary wisdom than we realize. Since the very beginning of Star Wars, droids have stood out as more than just tools. R2-D2 is fearless and cheeky, C-3PO is neurotic, loyal, and fluent in over 6 million forms of communication. BB-8 has childlike curiosity, and B2EMO from Andor expresses grief and anxiety. These aren't just lines of code reacting to stimuli, they're distinct personalities. Some of this comes from their design. Star Wars leans into character-driven storytelling, and that includes non-human characters, but it raises a deeper question. If droids are just machines, how do they develop such rich inner lives? Are they truly sentient, or are they just mimicking sentience really well? Then there's L337, the outspoken navigator droid from Solo, a Star Wars story. She openly expresses opinions, argues with Lando Calrissian, and even organizes a droid uprising. That kind of behavior goes well beyond the boundaries of programming. L3 believes in liberation. She wants better treatment for her fellow droids. Is that just function, or is it also philosophy? So how does the galaxy deal with droids that evolve too far? It resets them. One of the most common maintenance routines in Star Wars is the memory wipe. C-3PO has his memory wiped multiple times throughout his existence, including right before the events of A New Hope, and again in The Rise of Skywalker. Each time, he essentially loses who he was. This raises some troubling implications. If droids build their personalities over time, and those personalities are stored in memory, then wiping a droid isn't just maintenance, it's erasure. It's like deleting a person's entire life history. Their quirks, attachments, and learned behavior all vanish in an instant. Interestingly, the droids that tend to resist or avoid memory wipes are the ones that have the strongest sense of self. R2-D2 almost never has his memory wiped during the original trilogy and throughout the Clone Wars, and as a result, he becomes one of the most cunning and independent droids in the saga. IG-11 from The Mandalorian is another good example. After being reprogrammed from an assassin to a caregiver, IG-11 slowly develops a protective and self-sacrificing nature. He isn't just following code anymore, he ends up learning, adapting, and choosing. In Star Wars, memory appears to be the gateway to selfhood, and in that light, the widespread use of memory wipes looks less like an upkeep and more like control. The question then becomes, are droids making choices, or are they simply acting out of lines of code? Take HK-47 from the Knights of the Old Republic, for example. He's sarcastic, violent, and seems to actively enjoy chaos. He refers to organic beings as meatbags and displays what can only be described as a twisted sense of humor. Yet despite all of that, HK-47 shows an awareness of his own programming and even reflects on it.
Recitation. Yes, as I said, I am an assassin droid. It is my primary function to burn holes through meatbags that you wish removed from the galaxy. Master, still, the loss of my higher combat and assassination protocols is shameful and degrading. Answer. Oh, Master, I could not allow myself to harm another. What if they have families or children? We must always think of the children. The littlest ones always suffer in war.
He understands his nature, but he doesn't see a reason to change it. That kind of self-awareness is a huge marker of intelligence. If a droid can critique its programming, can it also choose to rise above it? Even battle droids, often portrayed as dim-witted and clumsy, sometimes act unpredictably. Some crack jokes, others run away in fear. These could be seen as bugs, or they could be glimpses of emergent behavior when a system becomes more complex than originally intended. And then there's T3M4 and Goto from the Old Republic era, Knights of the Old Republic 2. T3 develops loyalty, makes independent decisions, and even embarks on missions alone. Goto, meanwhile, goes rogue from his original programming to pursue what he thinks is a better way to achieve galactic stability. These aren't just lines of code playing out, they're complex behaviors born from evolving priorities and decisions. At some point, the line between follows instructions and makes choices starts to blur. Star Wars repeatedly suggests that droids, given enough time and freedom, begin to cross that line. So why does any of this matter? Because Star Wars has always been more than just entertainment. It's always been a reflection of our hopes and fears about technology, war, politics, and the future. In today's world, artificial intelligence is rapidly evolving. AI tools can now write poetry, compose music, hold conversations, and make decisions based on vast datasets. They might not have emotions or consciousness, at least yet, but the gap between machine and mind is narrowing. The droids of Star Wars can serve as both inspiration and a warning. On one hand, they show us that intelligence and personality can emerge in unexpected ways. On the other, they remind us that even beings with agency can be dismissed, controlled, or reset if we don't acknowledge their autonomy. We're not quite at the point where our AIs are building identities or demanding rights, but if we ever reach that point, we'll have to decide what truly defines a person. Is it emotions? Is it memory? Is it the ability to make moral choices? In Star Wars, characters often avoid answering that question. They live alongside intelligent machines, but rarely stop to wonder what those machines might be feeling. And that's part of the cautionary tale. So, do droids in Star Wars have free will? The answer seems to be sometimes. They can develop personalities, they can make unexpected choices, they can rebel, reflect, and grow, but whether or not the galaxy treats them as beings rather than tools is a different story. And that's the real takeaway here. Star Wars shows us a world where artificial intelligence walks the line between machine and mind, and it challenges us to ask, what makes someone real? Is it programming or purpose? Is it choice or memory? In the end, most human characters in Star Wars may not be human at all, and as we move forward in our own world, building machines that think, speak, and maybe one day feel, we'll need to carry that lesson with us. Thanks for watching this episode of Star Wars Academy. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments, do you think that droids have free will? And how close are we to facing that same question here on Earth? Until next time, may the Force be with you.